What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I'm bringing you a brand new update to, of course, DarkWorld. Now this time, as you can see, it's involving the normal summon of Luna instead of using the Tour Guide hand skip package. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So we're going to show you this test stand video to again just kind of give you another form of content in order to see how this deck operates. But then we're also going to test out Luna. Now if we see Luna, we'll show you how much it can be involved and what you kind of miss by not having the Tour Guide package in here. If you do want to see this updated profile, then please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. And then getting the video up to at least 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you. So with all of that out of the way, after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we'll do our opening hand of 5, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not bad at all. Now obviously it would be bad if we didn't have a danger, because the danger of having all of this is that if you don't have a danger or a way of getting your cards to the graveyard, you're in a bit of a sticky situation. So, I'm just going to grab a dice. There we go. So, of course, what you're going to do is you're going to reveal the Nessie. So, we're going to go 1 to 5 and hope that we don't hit the Nessie of a 2. It's a 3, so we hit the Snow, broken. So, Snow goes to the graveyard, Nessie summons down. You resolve by normal summoning off the Nessie, and then you resolve off of the Snow, searching out any DarkWorld card. Now, at this exact moment in time, we've actually got a very decent hand, because if we wanted to, we've got the Greffer, we've obviously got the ability to go into the Fusion Monster, but I'm going to get a little bit greedy, so I'm going to go with Genta. So Genta will guarantee me to set me up some cards on the hand. So we're going to use Genta's effect to discard this to search out Gates of the DarkWorld. Now, obviously, if you wanted to play safer, you would go for the Fusion spell. The Fusion spell would then let you discard Rainbow and Silver. Silver would then summon back, Rainbow would then search. And then you'd be able to recycle the Fusion spell, meaning that during your opponent's turn, you could have the ability to pop 2 cards by discarding 2 Greffers. Because you'll be able to hand loop your opponent or bring back some resource. Whereas with this one, we're actually going to bring back some resource, but we're going to get a random draw. So it's not guaranteed, but this will also help set up the consistency of Chupacabra a little bit as well. So after the shuffle, obviously you're going to activate Gates of the DarkWorld, you're going to use this effect, you're going to banish Genta, and of course you control a DarkWorld card. Then what you're going to do is you're going to resolve this by discarding the Rainbow, as it is the one that's going to give you the most advantage. You're going to draw a random card off of the DarkWorld. We get into Snow. You're then going to go Chaining 1 Rainbow, Chaining 2 Genta, just so you make sure you protect your Rainbow from an Ash or any hand trap. You bring back your Genta. You then resolve your Rainbow. Rainbow will allow you to search out a level 5 or lower. Now, obviously, you could go for Gold if you wanted to be a bit more destructive. You could also go for a Greffer, or you go for a Silver. Now, I'm going to go for a Greffer. Silver might have been possibly the better option. I'm just going to double check. Silver or Gold will probably be the ideal ones, actually, just because then it maximizes your ability of getting another monster on the board. The only way, or the only reason for going for a Greffer is to confirm that you would actually have, like, get a second Greffer in the board, and then you can double hand back, because then you'd go Rainbow, return, Genta, and then Greffer, return, if it gets hit off of the danger, of course. If it doesn't get hit off the danger, then it's not, you're just opening up with 2 Greffers, and then you kind of put yourself in a bit of a sticky situation, because then you have to go through Muckcracker. And Muckcracker is a card you don't really want to go through unless you absolutely have to. So at this point, again, you've got a couple of options here. If you wanted to make sure that your Chupacabra hit, whether it got discarded or not, then I would advise linking these 2 off. Otherwise, what you do is you return your Genta to the hand with the Rainbow. Just so you maximise your hand advantage. So now we've got 6 cards in our hand, and then you can resolve the Chupacabra, because obviously if you hit the Graffer, you can still bounce back. Again, the issue, when you can see, looking at his hand, you can activate Genta again to get another gate, but then you start losing your advantage. So the only reason for using Genta right now would then be able to use Snow, and you loop a little bit more of the hand resource, but whatever you banish is banished for good. So it's entirely up to you. So we'll go down the Genta route, just because, again, this maximises hand advantage. It will then deck thin as much as you possibly can as well, because you don't really want to draw Gates of the DarkWorld off of the danger, because it's just something that you could have already searched anyway. Now, I would leave Genta in the grave personally, so we'd activate a second gate. So I'd activate the gate, I'm going to banish the snow, and then we're going to discard the snow. This would then let me draw a random card, nice, and then we're going to resolve the snow. Now at this point, again, it's entirely up to you on what you want to go for. You can go for archives. Archives will let you have a discard and a draw 2, which can be very, very good. Or again, you're just really risking it because you're kind of dancing around the fact that you probably should be going straight for Ascension to guarantee you've got that fusion monster. Like, that fusion monster is your best card by far, and you've got the ability for like a little small hand loop. You could also go for Ceruli. Ceruli will then help you set up another hand loop, but it's just one of the cards that if you don't get it into the graveyard off of a reveal of the danger, bar having a way of guaranteeing you're going to be able to discard it, which would be in the form of something like an archives or activating it on gates, there's no guarantee you're going to get there. So again, it's entirely up to you on which one you want to choose and how you want to go for it. Like, snow's just that important. Searching any DarkWorld card is absolutely insane. So yeah, entirely up to you on where you'd want to go from here. I'm just trying to think which one I would prefer. Like, I can get greedy and I can go with archives and just put monsters on the board. But you got to keep in mind as well, with archives, you'll burn through your hand resource as well, is the other side, because you would need to discard a danger through archives effect to boost up your rainbow. Keep in mind, you can only use the boost effect while you have a DarkWorld on the board, because if you don't have a DarkWorld, you can't like legally activate the card. But by doing so, you'd then silver, and then you'd need to discard another silver, so you'd get 2 silvers on the board, and you'd draw 2. So they would replace themselves, but you'd be down an archive, kind of thing. And you haven't guaranteed yourself the spell, which is something that I wouldn't advise. I'd always advise guaranteeing you get the spell, but that's entirely up to you guys. We'll normal summon Luna. We'll use Luna's effect to deck Finn again, because so Luna's effect will allow you to search out another copy of herself or a monster that has 1850 attack specifically, but obviously you kind of want to just replace herself. She's a really cool card. I quite like her. So again, massive shout out to Flaps on this one. I thought it was a really cool tech idea. So we'll now activate Archives. We use the Archives effect to discard the silver to boost our Rainbow. So Rainbow will go up by 500. And then Silver's effect will come back. Now at this point again, you'll trigger the Archives effect. It will allow you to discard and draw. So discard the silver, draw 2. Oh, okay, broken. Silver would then come back. Now again, it's entirely up to you on where you want to take this. Ideally, you'd probably want to leave Luna on the board just for the pure fact that she is a form of interruption. Now, you can go Saruja, but you wouldn't get the draw because you've got 2 monsters with the same names. So again, you've got to kind of get that off the board in order to do anything. Now, we are right here at this exact moment in Nibiru territory. So again, it's entirely up to you on where you'd want to go. You could go in Appaloosa, but again, the issue you have with that is you'd have to make a monster first, because Appaloosa requires monsters with different names as well. So you just got to kind of maximize your utility. So let's put Silver and Nessie in the graveyard. The other issue as well is because we've put both Silvers on the board, we need a way of getting one of them back to the hand. Because if we don't, then we've not got the ability to hand loop our opponent, which completely contradicts everything you want to try to do. So what we'll do here, again, if you wanted to, you can go Appaloosa, just to put everything in the graveyard. I suppose actually what I should have done is let's leave the silver on the board. She's Rainbow, because then Rainbow can bounce back a silver and then summon itself back. There we go. Not a once per turn. Oh, broken. So we'll then reveal Chupacabra. So of course you've got 1 to 6. You could activate the Ascension as well and discard both of these. It's entirely up to you. So 1 to 6, we get the 6. So we hit the silver. So again, very important. Make sure you've got 2 zones free, because if you do this and you didn't have an extra zone free, you just lose a silver, which is completely redundant. So Chupacabra summons and draws 1. Silver will summon itself back. Okay, so now we're at the impasse, and what I mean by the impasse is the only other card you've got in your hand that's kind of like a danger is the Salamander, which can help you get a rank 4 play, which is really kind of cool. So what we're going to do here, let's loop our hand again, I suppose. So we'll use Rainbow, Silver, and IP, and we'll go into a free negate Appaloosa. There we go. We'll then use Rainbow's effect again, returning this silver to the hand. There we go. And summoning itself back. So now you've got an Appaloosa that's protected by IP, which is really, really nice. You've got a Lunar Bounce, plus we've now got the ability of activating a Catalyzer. Now, you've got two ways of doing this. You can activate the Catalyzer, revealing the Grepher, discard the Grepher, to then Grepher add back the Rainbow, so you gained a little bit of hand advantage that way. Or you can do it within the Silver, putting another monster on the board, but then again, you need to get, you would need to link off the Rainbow in order to get the Silver back to the hand. So there's a couple of different ways you can go about this. We've got a rank 8 if we wanted to, because you could technically special the Grepher off of the Salamander. Entirely up to you on that one. We've also got the Ascension that we could activate now. Ascension would give us the Fusion Monster, plus put Grepher in the graveyard, and plus put Silver on the board. That would then allow us to kind of bounce back some materials. So I'll show you the two options. So option number one, if you want to rank 4, you use Salamander and you pretty much discard any cards. You put Grepher into graveyard, summon down the Salamander. There's your rank 4. So that is your, if you've already been Nibiru'd, that is your Baguska, that is your Abyss Dweller, that is your Daguerres, if you want to go for Daguerres. Entirely up to you on how greedy you want to get. Because we're going to go full greed, we might as well go Daguerres. This would then allow you to return Rainbow to the hand, gaining a bit more hand advantage, bringing back the Grepher, and then you can kind of continue to play from there because you've still got the Fusion play here. If you were to reset that a little bit and just put that back in the hand, put Rainbow back on the board, the other option that you have is your Salamander can, or you could activate a Fusion Spell if you want to, so you can go Fusion Spell. Fusion Spell could then discard these two. Give you your boss monster. You would then trigger the Silver. Silver can then add back to hand. Then and then foolishly, I've locked up Order Zones. Woo, smart play. But then the idea would be is that you would, I'd have to link off my Luna, but you would then link off. But you would go for a rank 4 here. This could be Daguerres. Daguerres can ditch and draw 2. Entirely up to you. But the idea would be that you want to get your Rainbow off into the graveyard, so then you go Rainbow, bring back Silver, Grepher, bring back Rainbow. So you get to loop your hand advantage a little bit more that way as well. So a couple of different options there, and that's what I love about this day, is that there's no designed route. It's like, right, okay, do I want a rank 4? Do I want a rank 8? Do I want a link 4? Where do I want to go with it? And that's what I really, really like about this deck. It just has so much flexibility. And the fact that we got quite far without even needing to use our normal summon, and that when we did use our normal summon, in theory, I could have held back that Luna. Like, there was no need to use it then and there. It was just to make sure it never got hit by a danger. But if you hold it back to that particular point, it also means that even if your opponent does Nibiru you or does clear your board, you still have a normal summon of a Luna, and then you still would have had dangers to allow you to continue to play and everything else. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to shuffle this up. We'll now go second. So the changes mainly for Luna is you take out a 5-card engine in the form of 3 Tour Guide, 1 Sangan, and the Neko Main King. So losing the Neko Main King can be pretty damaging because it is a very nice, like, just turn skip, like, it just ends a turn. Players that are not used to it, players that can't play around it, will just lose their turn. And then that will ultimately open up the door for an OTK for you. Those that are used to playing with it, that's probably where it's a little bit less effective, and that kind of comes down to player preference. So we'll now start going second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, that's a really nice hand actually. So we're going to start off with our Fenrir. Now I always forget to do this, but when I'm going first, especially in defense, dodge lightning storm and everything, activate Fenrir's effect. Now so many people stop Fenrir, it's great because they always use like an Ash or a Veiler, or they just stop me getting to a Fenrir. I'm like, okay, fine. So get into a nice Fenrir. We're going to shuffle this up. I'm going to deck Fin again as well, so we're going to actually activate the Genta. I could activate a Law and actually banish the Genta off of it, but why do that? So we'll deck Fin a little bit more. We've got so much draw cards in our hand, and this is the best thing, is because you play so many little spell cards, if you open up the right combination of draw spells, you know you're going to be able to burn through your deck and get yourself into monsters quite easily. So I don't really have a DarkWorld that I want to discard right now that's going to gain me advantage. So I'm actually going to start drawing a little bit more. So we'll activate trading and draw 2. There we go. That's some advantage. But I do want another card so that I can discard from my hand. So activate a Law, draw 2 more, Brow, and Rainbow. There we go. Now we're in a good spot. So I've got to resolve the Allure. Brow to me is actually really expendable. I'm not completely set on keeping him at this moment in time, so I'm happy to get rid of him quite easily. Now, this is where Cerulli comes in, because I think Cerulli is going to be so good. Like, my opponent doesn't know I have him, so I haven't specifically searched him out. But what I can do is I'm going to activate the Gates effect. We're going to banish the Genta, and then we're going to ditch the Cerulli. We're going to draw a card off of the Gates, and then we're going to resolve the Cerulli. So we're training 1 Cerulli, training 2 Genta. Genta summons back, and then we give our opponent Cerulli. Because we gave our opponent Cerulli, it makes us discard a card, which means we get to trigger as a monster effect. So you discard the rainbow, you'll get both effects off of the rainbow. The first one being to search at a level 5 or higher. The second one lets you special summon a level 4 or lower DarkWorld from the deck or graveyard to either field. Now obviously I could give another Cerulli, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to summon out a... I'm going to summon out a Snow, because I'm going to be able to bounce that back to my hand. We'll also search off of that as well, and we'll search out Silver. Now, shout out to Rob, I believe this works. He mentioned it's quite funny because you could play triple tactic talents, give your opponent Cerulli. Cerulli makes you discard a card, and then technically means your opponent activated a monster effect. So that in theory, what you could do is then activate talents and either look at your opponent's hand, so it helps you hand loop, draw more cards, yay, or basically take the Cerulli, and then you're able to continue to link climb. So like in this scenario, if I activate talents, take the Cerulli, link 4, and off to go. Anyway, so we've got a good hand. We still need a way to get a danger to the hand is ideally what we're looking for. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bounce Snow back with Rainbow, and I'm going to bounce Genta back with Grapha. So I've maximised my hand again. I'm going to activate a second world. Now, obviously the issue is I don't have a Danger or a DarkWorld into the graveyard. So that's where it gets a little bit disappointing. But there are ways to kind of do this as well. I've got rank 4 access. I could normal summon a monster and go pretty much ham into a Cerulli. Like, I'm not worried about an Imperm. I can be a little bit worried about a Veiler. Kind of depends on where you want to go. And then by putting all of these to the graveyard, it's not the ideal scenario. So again, the best way you can do this is you could normal summon. You would have to sacrifice by normal summoning a monster, or you need to sacrifice your Fenrir. And by doing so, you leave a monster on the board and you're able to keep bouncing back and drawing and doing whatever you need to do. Now, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this, because ideally we do need a Cerulli. Like, this is where we're missing, is apart from getting a DarkWorld in the graveyard to risk a draw, there's not really much more we can push. So if we want to go minimal without pushing for a Cerulli, I would do it this way. Normal summon, sadly. And then we'd go into... let's go Cross Sheep, just because generic link 2 is all we're looking for. Then activate Gates of the Darkworld, discard the Snow, banish the Genta. You really don't want to be banishing your Graph. Obviously Genta will not summon, so don't worry about that. So you'll draw 1. It's not a danger, sadly, but Snow will allow us to trigger. Snow will allow us to search out any Darkworld card. Now again, because I'm going greedy, we'll go with Archives, and we'll start gaining an advantage off of that way. So shuffle that up. There we go. Then activate Archives. Archives effect, we will discard Rainbow to boost everything. Well, boost himself. You will then be able to resolve Archives or trigger Archives effect after you've triggered the Rainbow effect. So you'll go like chaining 1 Archives, because you don't want to draw what you're going to search. Chaining 2 Rainbow. So Rainbow, we'll search ourselves out a Greffa. And then this is all without going through Cerulli. So these are just ways of trying to play without getting into Cerulli. And then we're going to disc 1, so we'll get rid of Silver, and we're going to draw 2. We've got a pseudo danger, which is fine. Silver will then trigger to summon back. Okay, now at this point, what you want to do is you've got a Rainbow and you've got a Grapha in hand. So Rainbow, and then Grapha, broken. And then look at your hand advantage. Like, your hand advantage is just absolutely mental. So you've ended up plussing 2 cards already, and you've still got more to go. Now I can get another monster on the board. I've got the ability for using Salamander. I've also got Archives that can be used as well. And keep in mind, Archives lets you discard. So in theory, what I could do is I could activate Archives, and then I could discard the Greffa and the Zephyros of the Elite, because the fusion just needs a Dark. That would then allow me to summon out the fusion monster, trigger Cross Sheep as well, and then continue to play that way. Now, ideally, what I'd want to do is I'm going to go for Giant Trainer. So I want to get a level 8 on the board. And once I get a level 8 on board, all I need to do is get another DarkWorld on the board. So, how do we get another DarkWorld on the board? Well, very, very easy. Is you're going to activate your Catalyzer. Your Catalyzer is going to reveal the Genta. You could do the Silver if you wanted to, but what you're going to do here is you're going to discard the Catalyzer and you're going to summon out your Genta. Now, at this point, you've got to be very careful because we're about to start using up the zones quite quickly and quite easily. So, this is where you've got to save the cross sheep. Now, saving the cross sheep is actually relatively easy. So, you activate the Archives. Archives is going to let you discard Grepher and Rainbow. You're going to put those to the graveyard, you're going to summon out a fusion. Do not trigger cross sheep, not that you could because you haven't got a spare zone. But this is where it gets interesting. So, Rainbow will now resolve, and you're going to search out a gold or a silver. Now, obviously, I don't have gold in this version, but it probably should be 1 gold, 1 silver. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to return this to the hand for a Rainbow, and you're going to return Rainbow to the hand for a Grepher. You will then overlay all 3 of these into a Giant Coach King. This will then allow you to trigger cross sheep. Now, keeping in mind as well, I believe it's XYZ, all monsters your opponent controls lose 700. So, obviously it's not great for us right now, but we're going second. So because we're going second, what you've got to keep in mind is if you activate the trainer, you're not going to have a battle phase. But by summoning out the trainer, you then reduce all your opponent's monsters. So, it's up to you. Personally, in this scenario, because we're going second and we want to be aggressive, you'd probably go for a Hope Harbinger or like a Link monster. It's entirely up to you. But just for the sake of Coach Trainer, because it's slightly funny. There we go. Coach Trainer, you're going to detach 1 material at a time, but we're going to detach all 3. Obviously, you wouldn't do this going second. Do not do this going second. This is a disclaimer. Do not do this going second. I'm just trying to push the hand advantage. That's all I'm doing. So 1, no burn. 2, your opponent burns. 3, no burn. But hand advantage. Woof. But yeah, so keep in mind as well, the Cerulean would only need to be there if your opponent's got an open board or he's got a spare board. Yeah, and then you can continue to play as you wish. You've got Laws to push more. You've got Greffers and you've got Rainbows in the hand. You've got an Ascension that will let you add back by discarding the Danger, so you can trigger another one of those. DarkWorld that will trigger one of them. And you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So like, it's just absolutely mental, the level of hand advantage this deck gets you, and I really, really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun because with the Dangers, it allows you to play through a lot more than your opponent expects. And what I mean by that is it's very tricky for your opponent to stop you unless you've opened up badly. Like if you've opened up a brick, they know exactly when to stop you. It's just like, okay, cool, that card looks important, we'll stop that. If you've opened up well enough, that's just not even an option for them. Like you just keep playing and playing and playing and playing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this has shown you a little bit more of an insight. I hope you've seen the utility of Luna in the first test hand, and then just kind of how far this deck can push. I highly advise if you have this deck to physically test it out. It is so fun. You will get brick cans. It does happen, sadly, but on the majority of it, it's just stupid fun to play, and I fully enjoy it. Anyway, for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And if you want to see the profile list or the deck list for this, then please make sure you smash that like button, get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and I'll be more than happy to bring that for you. But, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.